So, I would like to talk about disagreeing. And I don't want to know by the time I'm done in the comments if you disagree with me. Just kidding. You're welcome to disagree with anything you'd like, just like I am. And I'm sure there's a lot that people listen to me say that they disagree with. But here's the thing, I don't have a problem with disagreeing. I have a problem with what comes across as I want to use the word defiance when someone's like, I disagree. And maybe that's my own, misperception. But I also just think, like, let's just say we're having a conversation. And there are some subjects like the price of eggs that we could talk about, which we'd probably all be like, I can't believe they're $6.99 a dozen, as opposed to like $2.99 a dozen that they were like 3 years ago. There's the kind of like disagreement you could have there where you're like, well, I think they're only $4.99. Well, I think they're $5.99. And then there's these big issues, the big issues, politics, social justice, vaccinations, where people are just like, and what falls under that category, which I'm always fascinated by, is spirituality or God, because it's very personal. All of those things, how people feel, what they've experienced, is extremely personal. And I also think there's ways that we would better be able to communicate around those things if we stop saying things like, I disagree, and started to say things like nothing, for example. Let's start with that. Just like if somebody else is talking, I just try to kind of suck it in and I watch these waves of like when they say something and I'm like agreeing, I'm like, yeah, I could see that. I could see that. And my mind's kind of calm. And then they hit that point of something where I'm like almost like incensed. Like, how could you believe such stupidity? And then I just have to ride that out. I have to ride that out. What most people do, though, is that they butt in and they disagree. And then that just sparks the fire. And then you have this one, and then this one disagreeing, and then you have another one, and you just have all this contention, which is so unnecessary. And it's not like I'm against argument or debate or contention. As a matter of fact, I kind of like it more than most people. I'm willing to really like debate and get down and dirty a lot more than a few people I know. And I've had discussions with people very close to me, and as soon as it starts to get a little bit fiery and we're not disagreeing, they exit. Right? I'm not worried about that, and I'm not concerned with my ability to have difficult conversations around difficult subjects where I might disagree with a person very strongly. But I think that there's a place where you start to say something, and then someone comes back and says, "Well, I disagree with that," and I just remind myself of what kind of conversations I want to have. Like I look back at the old philosophers, and I think that like anything went. And there was a way, and I think there is still a way where we can speak from our own experience. My own experience doesn't need to negate or disagree with your experience, including your opinions or including, how you feel about something. That's almost like, and when someone says that to me and I'm like talking and they go, well, I disagree. I go, I don't give a fuck. Like, like I sit back and I say, so what? I mean, tell me what you think. Tell me how you feel. Tell me about your point of view. Don't tell me that or any of that stuff after you tell me that you disagree with what I said, because then that makes me not want to listen to you. Because what's going to follow is a bunch of stuff where you're going to negate my experience or my point of view. And I don't think that that's a point. If like we're going to resolve some of these like heavy issues, which I don't know how resolvable they are. Like, for example, I'll just take vaccination. I mean, most people that I know have really strong feelings about that, like really strong feelings. And I have had my conversations with people who are and I happen to have really strong feelings about it. And just as a certain specific issue. And other people, like when I get into conversations or try to get into conversations with other people who also have very strong feelings on the other side, the conversation goes nowhere quick, and I just usually have to exit. But I still think there's a better way we can talk about these things where we could see the way another person feels instead of trying to disagree with what another person sees or experiences. Because you can't really negate my experience, and you can't really negate my point of view. You can ask me to try and look at a different point of view, which would thereafter change my perception or change my point of view so that my experience consequently after that point in time might be different. Right. And that's what's happened to me around a lot of these conversations, especially around politics and, for example, social justice or race. I've had a lot of deep conversations where people didn't really try to make me wrong, but they pointed things out. And I went, oh, well, I never looked at it that way. Let me check that out. Let me see if that's really can become a part of my experience or teach me something or show me a different point of view. So, it's heavy stuff, but I think we could all start with instead of being like, well, I disagree, and then trying to explain yourself, just being like, well, this is what I see, or this is my experience. I don't know. It just feels softer. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I think too much. I've been told that. Don't disagree with me because I do things too much. Hope you have a nice day. Thanks for spending time with me.